Hey Christian, Ben, America's Baseball Camps, just going through your swing analysis. So I played professional baseball for a while and do video analysis work around the country, and found some things that I think you can work on in regards to improving your swing. So let's go ahead and get started to review them. So I'm going to back you up here. Been watching your swings for a little while. In regards to our stance and our setup, a couple things I would recommend that we tweak. One thing I would do is I would take your hands from being up above our head, and I would kind of move them back a little bit and more down towards my ears. And I would create my bat angle to be more like this angle. The next thing I would do is I would take my knees, have them a little bit more bent, and I would have my knees and my feet turned in just a hair. You can see how those feet are kind of just straight ahead. I would get a little bit more athletic. What we need to do is we need to engage your lower half more. So by dropping my hands, moving them back a little bit, creating a little bit more bat angle, bending my knees, opening my feet a little bit where instead of having them right here, just maybe take this front foot and just have it where it's another inch or two forward. Taking my feet, instead of having it turn this way, kind of turn them straight ahead, and having this foot, instead of having it be there, kind of having it doing straight ahead or even turned in a little bit. It's going to create more power and engage our lower half more, because right now we're using a lot of arms when we hit. So that's going to be important in regards to some things under my stance. Now let's go into our next point of our analysis, which is our stride or our land foot. As I get myself loaded, your hands do drop down more in a good launch position, which is important. But one thing we don't do is we're not engaging our lower half enough. So what you can see when I do a land foot, and when I draw a circle around our front foot, you can see how that back heel is more facing this way. What you want to do is you want to have your heel facing more towards this pole compared to over here. You want to put it facing that pole. And what that's going to do is right now in our swing you can see how both feet are turned out. And what that does is that creates all the energy and power into my upper body. And that's going to take away a lot of power. So at this point of our swing, again, we need to make sure that that front foot is turned in or straight. Compared to this, it at least needs to be straight. And in this one, instead of over here, you want this angle to be here to be straight as well. So you don't want to have it no more than a 45-degree angle. And you're close to that, but we're more landing on our heel. You can see that I want to use this part of my foot, more the ball of my foot, and you kind of landed on my entire foot. So what that's going to do is it's going to just not have power in my legs. It's more just going to make power into my upper body. And that's what happens in regards to your swing, is we're not creating enough bat speed and enough power for you to really drive the baseball. You should be able to drive it more than what you're doing here, just by your strength and your athletic ability. The other thing we're doing too is our hands are dropping, so this bottom arm is firming out, which is going to make us late. So you can see at this point of our swing here that bottom arm's too firm, and our hands are beginning to drop. So it's called casting. When this bottom arm gets too firm, it pushes our hands down, and this makes us long to the ball. So we want to be short to it and long through it. And right now this makes you long to it and long through it. So when this bottom arm begins to lock too early, it pushes my hands down, which makes me late on faster pitching or late in general, and then my bat angle begins to go uphill, and that's where I don't want it to be. So at this point of our swing, you should still have some good angle in my arms right here, which means if my angle in my arms is there, that means my hands are still up in this area, and that creates me a good angle to be working downhill onto the baseball. But right now you can see that those hands really get locked out and brings my hands down too low, and my barrel is going to get underneath the ball, and you can see that I'm going to be late to this ball. So at this point of our swing, you'd want your hand still up in here, and you want your barrel in this angle. So when the ball's coming in, you can really be at this angle of that ball by the time it gets there. But you can see on this one, when it comes in, we're going to be late to this ball, and we're going to be underneath it here, that we're not going to be able to hit this ball with authority. So and those are a couple things in regards to our swing. For that first swing, you can see at the end we really want to try to hold our finish and engage our lower half. You can see that we don't get a lot of strength in our feet, just because of where our leg position is and where our hand position is. So going into another swing here, you can see how in this one foot, see how this foot's kind of turned out a little bit? We need to make sure that that foot is more turned in a little bit, and you can see how that that front one's turned out a little bit. We need to turn this in so we hit against a closed, firm front side. And how I can tell that is if I take a kind of lines from my knees and I go straight down. You don't want them to touch your feet. You want them, your knees at this point of our swing, if you turn those front two knees in a little bit, your knees are going to go over here, and that's really going to create a lot of power for you. And then if I draw my lines, then my lines are going to be able to touch the ground, and that's where you want your knees to be really inside of our feet. You can see in here again that that bottom arm is locking, which pushes my hands down. Again, at this part of my swing, I want a good angle in my arms here. And what that's going to do is going to create my hands to be up here. I'm going to be a nice downward angle to make sure that I'm going to not get jammed or not be late. A good drill for this would be to just basically get a really small bat and take this and rest your bat on your shoulders here and take off your top hand, so you're just using your your bottom hand, and basically work on some wiffle balls or from some soft toss that you have good angle in our hand, and then basically just take it off the shoulder and have it go right to contact. And what that's going to do, that's going to get you really short to the ball compared to being casting or being long to it. It's going to make a big difference in regards to our swing. At contact, again, at contact we want to make sure that we pretty good shape in regards to that. At contact, your body was a little bit in better position. One thing I do want to do is stay through the baseball a little bit more. You can see after contact that those hands are beginning to roll over on us in that top hand. And you want to make sure that your barrel is still back, and you're going to hold that palm up, palm down, where you're going to try to finish a little bit higher compared to finishing a little bit lower. And that's going to help you stay through the baseball better. I always imagine that there's two balls. There's the ball that you're hitting, and there's a ball in front of it, to keep your barrel on plane, and to let your barrel stay on plane as long as you can, to really have it be flat and through the ball. You have a tendency to want to come underneath it and kind of work this way. And most of that's because when that bottom arm gets locked on you too early, what that does is that creates and pushes your hands down. You can see how low your hands get down here, and if that bottom arm is locked, it pushes my hands down, which means my barrel is going to drag on us, and we're going to be underneath a lot of pitches. So again, at this point of our swing, you want to still have a little bit of bend in that arm, and that's still going to make sure that your hands are up here, so I can create a nice downward angle of my barrel right here. But you can see right now the barrel is going to be going that way. So I think another good thing for you would be is to what's called the high tee drill. So kind of put your hands up here and get a tee and flip over a bucket and put the tee on top of the bucket, so the bucket and the ball is at the top part of the strike zone. So you can really work on striking the ball and having your hands stay nice and high and working down through the ball and being flat compared to having your hands drop. So a lot of tee work, a lot of soft toss. Really work on your mechanics from your hands, and you're engaging your lower half. It's going to make a big difference in regards to your swing. We really appreciate coming to camp. Watch this video over and over again. It's really going to help you. Have a good rest of the summer.